Hi, Joyce. How are you?
I'm great, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And today we're going to hear you talk a little bit about how how parents can talk to their children who may have learning differences, and I guess it'll apply to teachers and other people too. So if you can share with us, that would be great.
I would love to. So this is a difficult topic for teachers. Let's say they've done their observations, and in their detailed observations, hopefully using something like our match uh, teacher checklist for observations in a Montessori classroom, which really guides the teacher as to what they should be observing and what's typical and what is not typical in development. If they have that kind of a document, they can summarize for the parent the strengths and weaknesses that they see in their child's development in learning and what they observe in the classroom. As I've said before, teachers should always start with talking about their strengths and then move on to talking about any areas that are not yet developed typically. Um, Parents must have the information, they have to inform themselves about their child's learning difference, because knowing that profile of their child as a learner um, gives them the support they need. Uh, the strengths can be things like, of course, some academic strengths, but they can also be athletic or creative skills or traits such as kindness, consideration for others. Parents could be informed if they've had the child assessed by a professional, and then they would have a very complete learning profile of their child. There's also excellent books like Overcoming Dyslexia by Dr. Sally Shaywitz from Yale University, and Attention Deficit Disorder, The Unfocused Mind in Children and Adults by Thomas E. Brown, and many others found on the websites of the International Dyslexia Association and the American Speech and Language Hearing Association. Parents, however, should be really wary of information that they may Google, as some of it is accurate and other sites are not giving valid information. So if a parent has accepted the fact that their child has a learning difference, and this is difficult for many parents, and if they understand that this does not mean that their child is defective in any way, but rather that the child can learn just in different ways that require therapeutic teaching. If they have that acceptance, then they'll come to the conversation with their child with that belief. They'll be more comfortable talking to the child with a realistic acceptance of their learning profile. The parent will not be communicating that they are worried or embarrassed by their child's difference, but accepts and loves the child for who he is. Parents usually find that it is a relief for a child to know there are reasons why they are struggling and that they're having challenges that they don't see all other students having. And it's comforting to them to know that there are many other students who have these very same struggles. Parents should stay in communication with the child's teachers as soon as the school year progresses, so that difficulties that occur can be discussed and addressed. Parents should have realistic expectations for their child's progress and grades. It is really not positive at all to say, I expect you to make straight A's. Not for any child, because most people don't make straight A's in every single subject. But certainly a child with a learning difference will have grades that are acceptable, usually, and especially after they've had help, but they're not going to always be straight A, and that's not really important anyway. Parents should help their students find their areas of talent and help them with activities that develop those areas of talent. And those also will give the child a much stronger self concept. So, sort of in summary, the parent has to have knowledge and acceptance of their child's learning profile and an understanding that they're smart and they can learn, but they do learn differently, that they're not abnormal, their brain is not damaged, and that the brain does process information differently and many times inaccurately. So it's not that the child won't do the work, it's that he can't do it the way he's being asked. So if a parent has that kind of knowledge, they start to relax and have a true positive relationship with the child and their ways of learning. So those are my experiences over the years, and I hope that these are helpful to others.
That's great, Joyce. I know it's really important to get the parents educated and on board, and thank you for that. Can you let us know just a little bit about the trainings that you're offering and also where folks out there can pick up your book?
Yes, I would love to. Um, for 30 years, we've been offering at Shelton the McCarr course, Montessori Applied to Children at Risk, and sharing with teachers from all over the world the information about how you apply Montessori to different children's exceptionalities. So, whether the child is dyslexic or even not diagnosed, but at risk for dyslexia, ADHD, uh, communication disorder, that's oral language disorder, whether they have autism or an intellectual deficit. Each one of these children, the teacher has to understand the condition, the differences that they have in order to match their teaching to the child's abilities. And so it's what we try to do in McCarr. And many of the participants tell us that it truly was life changing for them as a teacher to understand these things because they're not covered in our traditional Montessori training, which is very rigorous and takes quite a bit of time to master. But this is knowledge beyond the basic and very strong training that Montessorians get. So the McCarr course can be an enormous help. Now, what we started to do last summer is combine McCarr with the opportunity for an AMS inclusion endorsement, MIE, Montessori Inclusion Endorsement. And so the McCarr course is one summer for 10 days, or we can deliver it through distance learning. The MIE course is 2 summers, or however we divide that out for distance learning, but it's 20 days of instruction. And then there is a required self-guided practicum with the MIE endorsement. So we are in the process right now of being accredited for the MIE course by AMS. So that's very exciting. Um, the wonderful thing about this distance learning, as hard as it has been for all of us who have delivered face to face for so many years, to make a quick turn and create all these courses online, the silver lining there is we can deliver it any time of the day, anywhere in the world. And that's great. That's going to spread so much great information. As far as the book is concerned, in all of these courses, we use the book as our textbook, and it covers all the different areas that I mentioned so that the teacher, the Montessori teacher, gets from this book uh, how to apply the method to children of varying exceptionalities. And the person who is not a Montessorian or a parent gets a better understanding of Montessori and the curriculum, and also uh, as much depth of information as they want about each one of these learning differences and how we can help these children.
Well, thank you, Joyce. And I want to remind everyone watching that you can find out more about McCarr training at shelton.org. And you can pick up a copy of Joyce's book, Montessori Strategies for Children with Learning Differences, at Montessori Services. Thank you so much for meeting with us today, Joyce.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've enjoyed it.
All right.